one time my city councilman came to me and said, Sally, you know, you're involved in all of this, and they asked me to ask you if you wanted police protection. And I thought for a minute, and I said, no. And he said, that's what I told him you would say. But you know, no one ever bothered my property or myself. Because sometimes, even the guys you might call the bad guys in that neighborhood, they look out for you. But I will tell you that it gave me religion. Because I learned to trust in Jesus like I had never trusted in Jesus before. You see, there's a cost. There's sometimes a sacrifice. And sometimes we find ourselves doing things that we would never have imagined doing. But all of that, in a sense, was a calling and a testing of my calling that I wouldn't give anything not to have had. It was what I needed, just like perhaps it's what Peter needed, to truly trust Jesus, that this was what Jesus was calling him to do. Peter, do you love me? He asked the second time. And once again, Peter said, yes. And then Jesus asked Peter the third time. By this time, Peter's really upset that Jesus would be asking him 3 times, and it says he was grieved. But you know, as Jesus kept asking Peter, he kept saying, then feed my lambs, tend my sheep, feed my sheep. And you know, I wonder if in a sense what he was doing was making sure that Peter truly understood who it was he was to care for. Not himself, not even Jesus for that matter, but it's all about the people. God calls us to care for the people as long as there are folks who need to know the love and grace of Jesus Christ. We have a mission field. Everywhere we go, whether you're in full-time ordained ministry or not, you have a mission field. Wherever God places us, we have a mission field. You know, there's a young man by the name of Engelbert Hunsdieck. And as you might guess, he was German. And he came of age in between World War I and World War II. And he was Catholic, and from the very beginning of his life, he always just wanted to be a Catholic priest. But he wanted to be a Catholic priest in a missionary field somewhere, a long ways away from Germany, a long ways from Europe. He wanted to go and share the gospel of Jesus Christ. But then he found out it takes you a long time to get through this whole priesthood thing. And so he had to go and serve at church for a couple of years, they told him. Well, he wasn't so excited about that, but he really wanted to be able to be a missionary and go someplace where people had not heard about the love and grace of Jesus Christ. So they put him in a church, and he began to preach these very wonderful sermons about peace and justice. And his congregation, I don't know how they took it, but the Hitler regime didn't take it very well. And within 2 years, he found himself in the concentration camp called Dachau. And as he went into Dachau, I don't know, I can't imagine how he did this, but he truly understood what a mission field is. Because in Dachau, where there's all of this degradation and humiliation and starvation, he saw it as his mission field. Because here were the people who would never go into a church. Here were the communists. Here were the homosexuals. Here were the people who were Christian dissidents. Here were the Jews who shared part of his own tradition. Here were people that would never be in a church. And now they were his mission field. And so he reached out with an encouraging word. Sometimes he even gave away his own little piece of bread. And whatever he did, he tried to share the love and grace of Jesus Christ with whomever he came in contact with. Well, he might have gotten out when he was about 32 years old as the war ended. But just a few weeks before the war ended and Dachau was liberated, there was an outbreak of typhoid in Dachau. And the SS soldiers came and they rounded everybody up and they said, we need 20 volunteers to go and take care of the sick and the dying and the dead. Now, this wasn't just a friendly, y'all sign that thing at the back of the narthex on your way out kind of invitation. What is it that causes somebody to raise their hand to an invitation like that and say, here I am, Lord? But that's what he did. He went down into the bowels of Dachau and cared for those who were sick and dying. And for those who were able to tell the story later, they said he was like an angel of mercy, caring for people in their physical distress, sitting beside them and offering them emotional support, and wherever he could, a prayer and spiritual support. He would have gotten out, but he died 3 weeks before the liberation of Dachau. But this man and his ministry always reminds me, there is no place we can go, there is nothing we can do that we don't have a mission field. As long as there are people in need of the love and grace of Jesus Christ, we have a ministry. It is the place where God takes us, anoints us, and calls us to be God's presence in their midst, whoever it is.